Today is May 23rd, 2026. Last night on the 22nd, I'm sure Officer Mark and Officer Johnny, you guys know, my one client where I work, his next door neighbor. I don't want you saying anything to him, but they've yelled stuff at me. I don't know if they think it's funny, but it's really not. I seen apostolic girls with long black hair knock on the door and was talking about dating Dave, how they made a mistake. Well, you weren't the only one, sweetheart. Like Delano Eddy said, you think you're better than her, dating all those women. I walked off, I cleared my throat, come up, and I went, what was he talking about, Dave? He said, I don't know why he's talking about and why he would even make up something like that. He wasn't making it up. Dave was dating all kinds of women behind my back. I found out my whole marriage was a scam. Whole marriage. March 27th, 25. After midnight, there was an FBI agent outside. He was dating that other Michelle that told on him. Said, I got it out of Michelle that the doctor from before was not one of hers, worse for them, and they had lied he was one of her doctors. She actually don't know who he is. When they bashed in her head, they tried to kill her, leave her incompetent, and it didn't work. Soon as she told me, I broke up with her. I got it out of Dave that a girlfriend from before her made him marry her so he could get a job at her dad's factory and she'd have free insurance to use. He could give her extra money. The lady that was running up medical bills in my name wasn't random identity theft. It was him and another girlfriend scamming me for 15 years. Half my medical records are hers. Officer Mark and the police and FBI documented it. They even got it out of Dave. The FBI did. And they had got it out of that family that was telling people that it offended them, that Strange called Mia Baker back 15 years before. Why on earth would you say that? Why on earth would you say that? When she had nothing to do with your kid's death. And 6 months later, and he made it up on her. Said it didn't even concern him. They were in there lying to everyone to help him get away with it. They lied about everything. Okay. That's where March 20th, 26, Walmart West House by the Electronics. Another investigator yells out, I haven't found one bit of this funny since that family confessed to an FBI agent. Over a year ago. That they were all lying to the FBI. And it never offended them. They made everything up to help these people get away with this. Okay. I had chest pains for days. All right. Now we're going to put it this way. And honestly, put it this way. I'd like you to find out, Officer Mark and Officer John, who that lady was in the mall. The other day I had an eye appointment, and before that we went in Belden, and there was some lady in there complaining about you. I'm tired of Officer John and those officers showing up laughing at these people for confessing what they did to her. I'm in charge. She needs to find out who's in charge. She's probably the lady with the Louisville police. On May 30th, 25, 1 o'clock in the morning, that thought she could scam me out of money, sent Dixie and Melissa up to go to jail for this. They found the surveillance on May 26, 25 of the cartel, admitting this whole thing was a scam built from the Freemasons, of the dirty doctor not being one of hers, works for them, and they had lied he was one of her doctors. And the whole thing's a scam. And where they found the original case, my ex-husband hired 2 men on his own. One was saying his attorney, and they were trying to say it was legal. And officers like, no, it isn't. It's probably her, where those 2 agents warned me March 23rd, 23, that where they yelled at these people, she's never hurt anyone. Nobody's ever seen anything. It's just some lady trying to make money out of this. They warned me she was there. It's probably her. She thinks she's in charge. I think she needs to meet you. or she can meet scary Agent John. He's psycho. I don't know. Officer John's pretty badass. He yelled at two big drug dealers. He's pretty badass. So are you, Officer Mark. Yelled at two other big guys. Okay. But last night, outside my work, I went in and those idiots were outside staying stuff. We're allowed. Some guy said, we've been trying to figure out how to steal money from the case. There is no way. The only way that it could be stolen is that agent that opened our case stole her debit card with the money on it. Tell Agent John I'll be over to pick it up. No, and remind everybody, no one's allowed to help her. Okay, and another thing, they were out there yelling. Okay, we're going to put it this way, and then I'll tell you the comment. Okay, does the FBI know people of different religions, how they look at things? Yeah, they're trained to. How people of religious faith, how they talk. Yeah. Because it's an upbringing, a teaching embedded in their hearts and mind. Okay? I have a friend named Walter. He used to work at the Stark County Prosecutor's Office. He's actually a minister. And I'll tell you what, I could tell him the story of how I got sick, how I got well. And you know what? He would say, thank God for that miracle. Because he brought you through it. Because that's how people of faith, they give glory to their Creator. I have nothing in my heart against God. I have had a horrible life. I have lived through several bad parts of my life, but I survived. And for that, I am eternally grateful. And I prayed years ago for God to protect my heart and not to become evil like the people that did it to me. See, that's where, that's where people of faith, they give glory to the Creator, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just how people look at it. People of faith where, okay, we're going to put different scenarios how people get well. People recover at a slow pace and their body heals itself. Then there's some people like me, it was medical malpractice, wrong medications, and it took me 9 months to slowly get well. Okay. Then there's people that have to have surgery. And people pray for this God to guide the surgeon's hands so their loved one survives and they get well afterwards. They still give glory to God for making sure that surgeon did a good job. Because that's how they're taught to look at God, to give thanks to Him for everything. There's nothing wrong with it, being grateful to a higher power than you. Does the FBI know religious people talk like that and think like that? Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with it. Having a humble heart before God. Not one thing. And see, if I would sit down and go over it again with Walter, with him being a minister, and said, I had the 6 to 10 surgeries, my muscles locked up. They clenched. I went to a lot of crackpots that gave me the wrong medication. My whole body swelled up, gained over 150 pounds. I had fell so hard it tore the muscle beside my knee, and I found out I had degenerative joint disease in my knees. There was fluid buildup that I always had to have drained. The MRI shows all that, and swelling and a fluid-filled cyst beside my knee on the other one, and swelling and water underneath that knee. And I was having heart attacks and seizures and thyroid and a adrenal gland shut down. And another doctor told me how those doctors were known for lying, falsely diagnosing people, ripping them off, making them sick. And I had to get off the medicine and get on fentanyl patches and muscle relaxers. And over 9 months, I learned to walk on numb feet. Everything started working. You know what he'd say being a minister? Thank God for that miracle that he brought you through. And he didn't let you die here. Grateful hearts. Is there anything wrong with that? It's just a humble heart before God. And then in medicine, some doctors will call things miracles because they can't explain them, because they have a religious background. Some of them call it spontaneous remission. Do you know part of my diagnosis was spontaneous remission? My muscles clenched. I had to move for them to stretch back out, get blood flow in, and to re-strengthen them. My thyroid and adrenal gland shut down. I got off the medication. They started working. And it took me 9 months of pulling myself around with those muscles. I had to, got them to unlock and then to rebuild muscle tissue for them to unlock all the way. They called it spontaneous remission. Several doctors did. I call it by the grace of God. And grateful. And see, that's where these people lied about, where they admitted they lied about everything. One of their lies where they were running around telling people, oh, we were tired of her telling everybody God gave her a miracle and she got well. Because they don't want God to have any kind of glory. Like people have said, if there was anything miraculous that happened in her, God would never get the glory because these people killed it. And they made sure they robbed it, they stole it from him. Okay? Now, I still have degenerative joint disease. I have to exercise or the muscles degrade, my knees will pop. And that's why I used to always walk and exercise. I always said I never wanted to get sick again. But it is, you got to think, in October, November of 2002, I'm dying. Heart attacks, seizures. Those doctors were such crackpots. They even told me I had level 2 brain tumors. They were throwing any diagnosis at the world at me. Give me a bunch of wrong meds, almost killed me. If I would sued them, I'd been a millionaire and they'd still be in jail for attempted murder. They better be grateful I never sued them. And I want you to think, by July of the next year, I'm fine. Only thing I'm taking is estrace. Estrogen replacement from the hysterectomy. That's all I took for years. I want you to think about that. I went from dying, swelled up, heart attacks, seizures, adrenal gland, thyroid shut down, muscles clenched, whole body swelled up. With canes and braces, pull myself around. In 9 months, I can walk by myself, and I'm perfectly fine. By God's grace. A lot of hard work. A lot of endurance. Okay? Now I want you to think about this guy last night yelling stuff out. You found out those doctors really were all a bunch of crackpots before, gave her wrong medicine, made her swell up. She's got degenerative joint disease. No miracle with her. I don't think I ever talked to you, did I? But that's the kind of retards. I was so glad when the heavy rain came right after that. I couldn't stand outside yelling stuff. Because they're a bunch of retards. Who yells stuff at a rape victim? You know, I seen on YouTube where Ohio did a big arrest of human trafficking. Got a criminal attorney, retired police officer, priest, a bunch of other people, sheriffs and U.S. Marshals. You rock, guys. And they saved lives. Down in Texas, they got another 244, saved 109 children. Where these people think it's funny, it's a drug scam from the drug dealers, human trafficking people. They've already announced that. And it's a drug cartel. You know, they told people years ago in North Canton, don't ever take any money from these people. It's soaked in the blood of women and children they sold for sex slaves or to be murdered. These people have, up in Ravenna, they said that they were grabbing people for gentlemen's clubs. Gentlemen's clubs of like what? Strip joints, massage parlors. Guess where they found those victims? Massage parlors. They said they were gentlemen's clubs running. Okay? See, I think, and some dumb, these people are so dumb, they make your head hurt. We put a nice name on the worst criminals. Human traffickers. What is a human trafficker? They sell women and children for sex slaves. They sell them for body parts to be murdered and their organs. They even talked about a guy in Ravenna. He was buying people just to hunt to kill. And he liked to hunt them. For there's nothing greater than hunting a human being. And nothing greater than the greatest thrill of hunting another human being. We all know about him. He thinks it's funny killing people. He thinks it's funny trying to kill people. We all know about that guy. They're serial killers. Child molesters. That sell women and children for sex slaves and to be murdered. Like they said, you can sell people over and over again. You can only sell drugs once. There's a big difference between drug dealers and human traffickers. Drug dealers sell their own bad habit. That's all they do. They sell their own bad habit. Not making excuses for it, but they sell their own bad habit. A human trafficker sells human beings. And they're serial killers and child molesters. I think the punishment for being caught and being a human trafficker, I think it should come with an automatic death penalty. If people know if they join a human trafficking group, they'll be executed. They'll think twice. Because if you get caught, you get executed. Some idiot girl showed up last night, or not last night, but last month, and said she thinks human traffickers should be executed. That's only for serial killers. It's like, you dumbass bitches. What do you think they are? Are you that stupid? What do you think they are? See, these people are so dumb. And then people go along with the drug scam from drug dealers, from the cartel. And the FBI does realize this was attack against their agency, right? They do know that this thing was an attack against their personal agency. The whole thing. They thought they could con the FBI out of money. They even admitted that November 23rd, 25 and December 1st, 25. The whole thing was a scam to extort money out of the government. They walked into the FBI office with a scam to extort money from the government. They went right to the FBI to defraud them. They went in there to steal money. And then why? Because Dave's ex-girlfriend, that Michelle, they got it out of her. September 30th, 25, 1 o'clock in the morning. This whole thing was her family's debt to drug dealers. She admitted she never met me in person. She admitted they even human traffic people to pay back. She even helps out people for sex slaves and to be murdered to pay back those drug dealers. And that it was her family putting up Carl's family to threaten his life, to take his farm because she wanted it. And she knew it was medical fraud, medical malpractice, and medication errors that made me sick before. And she knew the original cartel had already confessed way back in 22. They photoshopped everything. And then Henry Maffei, January 1926, admitted he never met me in person. Talked about that case and the officers watching me. That he was the one inciting Carl's family to threaten his life, to take his farm, and he was the one putting them up to it. And he's the one framing Judge Ludick up there. That he had a judge's friend that won't enter all his tapes in court without the FBI there. And have everything signed over to him, and he was going to take off and be long gone and steal all the money for himself. He's delusional. And he admitted the other Michelle that is telling on him for what they're actually doing. December 1st, 25. The Michelle that the agent broke up with. They threatened her life for telling him. She went badass, her and her friends. I've only seen her, I've never met her, and I'm so proud of her. My God, she's a young girl. Her and her friends stood up to these monsters from hell. And they told on them they had the courage to do it. That takes a lot of integrity and guts to stand up against monsters. December 1st, 25. Michelle showed up in my office. So these people confessed this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was involved. They all were. And that the doctor from before is not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied he was one of her doctors. She actually don't know who he is. And that guy Pete that's running his mouth about her, she doesn't even know who he is. It's just some guy Dave hired on his own. And these people admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before, and she has no memory of those people. And the tape of Weird with Yourself is nothing but photoshopped a washing in the shower. And the whole thing's a scam. Where November 23rd, 25, Summit Mall. Girls showed up. This whole thing is a scam to extort money from the government. Her ex-husband was already connected to us. We asked him if we could do it to her. And he said yes, if they made sure that he got everything in the divorce. Okay. Last year. Okay. Back in 2019. 2019. These people said they were looking for legal loopholes. We have to have a legal loophole. That agent told on her for calling the hotline. Before he talked to her, that's a big legal loophole. Then he doesn't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. It was illegal him even saying it. Another legal loophole. And then in 22, they announced they were going to have that agent arrested. And they were going to be coming for the case. I said something to Walter back then. They were saying it in stores. The investigators would have had him take. They were coming for the case to get it thrown out. And they wanted that agent arrested. Okay. Last year, after March 27th, 25, of that other Michelle that was dating Agent Anna Rouge, told them of their scam. It's all ruined. It was ruined from the beginning. It was stupid anyways. But it was ruined. And so the guy that lives in my old apartment on North Chapel was out there trying to stir everything up. And by the way, Officer Mark, Officer John, you go to arrest the riffraff. Don't forget him. He's a big part of this. And you might want to check why he's having all those young boys in his apartment. He has only men and young boys over there. And never a lady. Besides when his mother comes visits. Understand? Where March 30th, 25, afternoon, I worked midnights. And I was working 2 jobs. And I was tired and I'm laying down in the afternoon. Had the window open, it was warm. And I heard him tell Amy and Harry, I was in that office when I met with that agent. Well, or when they met with that agent. It's like, oh, hell no. I'm peeking through the curtains. And he's at where they were sending out emails for help. Our religious group was one of the first ones that were there. So he knew the whole thing was a scam. Okay. He said, I was even in the office when they met with that agent. And when he was talking to her on the phone, we were there. Now, Agent John, that's really sick. Them listening to you bully me, mocking me, how they're trying to kill me and laughing at me. That's really sick. Very sick. And when that agent asked her if she knew who the doctor was from before, she said she didn't know who he was. He knew she was lying. I wasn't the one lying. And he turned her back over to us. And he said he didn't care what we did to her. It's like, don't listen to the crazy person. Well, I got married a few days later. I stopped by Amy's. I said, Amy, do you remember March 24th, 22, where that little white guy was screaming at that big drug dealer, you framed her before? Yeah, we framed her before. Shame on you. And it was echoing down the street. Yeah, I remember that. I said, this is it. Do you remember in 19 when I moved in here, and they'd be outside chanting how they drugged me and told me to say it before? She said, yeah. I said, this is it. Ladies in the other white building were outside. That idiot went. Now, I've lived in that apartment building for 6 years. All right. That idiot went around telling all my neighbors, you need to be afraid she lives here. I wasn't the one you should be afraid of. I'm just a drugged up, beat up rape victim. They're running a con on. And he's saying he's one of the monsters from hell. Some lady's in another white building. They're outside talking. The police always said it was drug dealers that did it to her before, and nobody say a word. And he's saying he's in it with the drug dealers? Yes. And he tried to get the neighborhood to turn on me. Be afraid she lives here. He's quite evil. And then when I got my new car, him and his mommy dearest was visiting. That's a nice car. That's a really nice car. We thought if we had Melissa and the kids show up and just say something about her, the police would take her car from her and give it to them. They said they don't take money and assets from people. They prosecute them. What do you mean you want her car? They turned everything around on us because they're nothing but thieves. They knew the whole thing was a scam. And he was in there defrauding the FBI too. So you go to do an arrest with him, you need to check on him anyways. Because what's he doing with teenage boys going in his apartment? Okay. All right. But last year they said they started announcing that they wanted that agent to show up and explain himself. He said he didn't care what we did to her. And he arrested all those drug dealers that showed up. I thought, put your big boy panties on. He tricked you. You brought your drug connections and he arrested them. And then they announced, even in other towns, they were where they kept saying different things about what was illegal, what happened to me. Okay. I'm going to try not to cry and keep it direct to the point. Where they said that agent told on her for calling the FBI hotline before he talked to her. Okay. He admitted on a recorded line that he already spoke to everyone and everyone knew. He bullies her. He makes fun of her for what they're doing. Made her beg for her life. List her informant with money and immunity. And then threaten her. And he doesn't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. And it's illegal. And it can't be in the court order. And he left her there. He opened a real case with statements. Left her there. And stole her money. He was defrauding her the whole time. He had no legal right around her. She's either a paid informant. They stand up for that case. Or they want the surveillance thrown out. They announced it in Alliance. In other places. They want the surveillance thrown out. And then the heavy harassment started again. Get the idea? Trying to get the case thrown out. You know, where they said he had no legal right around her. She's either a paid informant, and they stand up for the case. And there's something about this. This is where there's something about this. They think the FBI, instead of doing right by me, and this is like a kick in the stomach, and give me the money I earned working the case and stand out for the case, they would let thousands of serial killers out. And like they said, they're going to get the surveillance thrown out. Judge Peters released out of Florida all the drug cartel, anybody connected to anything to her case, released, and then under fraud, because you can't use fraud. See, they had no legal right around me. And you can't use fraud. And then they're going to sue the government for millions of dollars of extorted money. And there's something in them. See, that's where September 10th, 25, Tuscarawas County Courthouse. Officer Mark, Officer John, I hope you found out who was in that courthouse. Because March 5th, 26, at Bell Store in Magnolia, investigators showed up and said nobody found it funny, those people showing up at that courthouse. And one was trying to say he was the agent over my case, and it was opposing attorney, calling my case fraud. And I was back down there, March 12th or to 17th or something like that, of 26, and they were in there talking. Again, they're sending out emails with the recorded line of that agent bullying her. And the way he laughed at her, it sounds like pure evil. He sounded like Satan himself. Okay? I'll put it that way. Pure evil, like she said. And then people showed up and admitted they paid that agent off before he talked to her, and that's why he talked to her. And they're telling investigators down there they paid that agent off, where they admitted since the beginning of the case they paid him off. And then I can give you a list of times and places from November 20th, 23, first thing in the morning. He took a payoff. December 2nd, 22 in Alliance. He stole my money the first day. There's some January to March of 19 in the mall. They called him a paid off dirty agent. Well, actually, there was a group of domestic violence shelter helped him watch me. And they said she's amazing. The lady turned around and said she is amazing. The guy said, I could write a bestseller on what happened. I call it Karen's Prayers. A paid off dirty agent. A man trying to kill his wife. And men being shot at running. Add rape, torture, human trafficking, drug lords. Real attempted murders. I want you to think about it. That's where they sold the login in 19. I went to Illinois and people had it. In 21, they had it in Illinois, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania. It's on the web, where they said the first month of the case, Will found another way of making money off the case. He's selling the login for $25 a pop. It went viral. If you didn't have it at one point, teenagers had it, little kids, truck drivers, nurses, doctors. If you didn't have it, I even found out people in nursing homes had it. Okay? It went viral. And it's in different states. Where M13, it was on Google a couple years ago, they're live streaming witness protection programs. And people in protected custody, they'd be harassed. Well, that guy was selling it at 18. Okay? That's one of the things that idiot was out there. They sold the login to the case. They have it in different states. Nobody cares what she says. And if she says anything, it don't matter. No. You know what my tapes do? Besides releasing a lot of anger, I do research on everything they do. And I find the laws and the punishments for them. And I put them up on Facebook. And I put them up on YouTube. And you know what it does? It slows down the harassment of people being fooled by these idiots to help harass me or stalk me. I found out over a year ago they're sending out emails now. They're nothing but lies. They told people that I was supposed to have been in several state psychiatric hospitals. Never been in a state psychiatric hospital. That she has charges of rape and murder. I have no charges of anything. I have one traffic ticket from 1989. The whole thing's a bunch of bullcrap. Okay? And the police won't arrest her. You'd be lucky if they didn't shoot you. And that they need to take the law into their own hands and kill me or harm me. Show up and harass her, make sure she has nothing. It's a big con that the cartel sent out. So they thought that they could steal from the FBI and from the case. And I found the laws, the attempt of extortion out of a federal case, a government case, is the attempt to even put your name on it that you want money out of it is 20 years. The attempt of extortion out of an FBI informant is 20 years. My friend Grant lives in another state. He has a friend that's an FBI agent out of state. He said, he told him what happened to me. He said, well, if she really honestly didn't give her money, the only way you can steal from an FBI case, and the only one that could do it, is the agent that opened it. The debit card that comes in her name with her money loaded from the government, he simply put it in his pocket. And he has somebody in the office covering for him, signing that they witnessed him handing it to her. And they probably have been stealing from cases for a long time, and this time they got caught. Okay, now, what is a jail sentence for an FBI agent to tell on a victim to the people that are hurting them, that they call for help? It's like 20 years. What is the jail sentence for an FBI agent to tell a victim or an informant that if they say anything that they won't get help? It can go into attempted murder. Obstruction to justice, tampering with the evidence, and tampering with witnesses, and aiding and abetting crimes. And it's 20 to life. What is a jail sentence for an FBI agent to tell an informant if they say anything, they won't get their informant money? 20 to life. It's extortion out of government funds, a crime against the U.S. government. It's considered blackmail. And it is tampering with a witness and tampering with evidence. What would happen to a judge if they would sign such court order? The judge would go to jail. They are not beyond criminal charges of 20 to life for each one, too. That's how much they could never even sign it. You could get the money for working the case and risking your life to get them information. See, that's what my friend Walter told me. That agent doesn't have enough authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. It actually is illegal. It's a federal crime. You get the money for working the case and only for working the case and risking your life to get them information. They owe you for the rest of your life. Okay? And Karen, you don't realize you're one of the many witness protection programs. You're not only an informant case, but a threat and attempt to lie case. They can never be closed. These people try to kill you, and they could wait and try to kill you again. And the most the FBI can do is put you in another witness protection program, but they'd have to speak to you first. Get the money for risking your life. You can stay in immunity for the rest of your life for getting them information, and they owe you. And it takes a judge and a jury trial to put a gag order on you. Agents are only hired police officers. They don't even have the authority. And the police know that, and they can't go along with that, and you can't tell anybody. They can't help you. It's illegal. These are federal crimes. Okay? I talked to a criminal attorney in a place out of this area, and they said the same thing. Okay? And these people made up a lie that if Dave hired an attorney to break in our home, set up button cameras, that he had the right to do it. What is a jail sentence for an attorney if a husband hires him to set up button cameras stalking their wife in a private home? 5 to 20 years. Disbarment immediately. And in the law, it states that you cannot take the rights, the civil rights away from any other individual. Like they said, that idiot can't hire a stalker. What is the jail sentence for an attorney to set a husband to hire an attorney to set up? What is the jail sentence for the attorney if a husband hires them to stalk their wife in their private home with body cameras, tape in bathrooms, Photoshop like shower scenes, have men break in and stab them with drugs and tell them to say stuff to frame them, and have them beat and raped under drugs, life in federal prison. That's how much they can't do it. This whole thing is the most ridiculous scam. See, that's where I used to do title loans. And inside of a title loan is different aspects. There's the title itself. You have to have the title and the title notarized and a power of attorney of certificate of title notarized too, to put a lien against it. Then you had to have the loan agreement. That was separate. That they agree to pay back so much, notarized. Put them together, you have a title loan. But they're separate parts into one loan. Okay? Just like the protected custody case, there's a protective order over me, and immunity and money for getting information. Then the police and the FBI have a surveillance to go along with that, an order for that, to keep an eye on me. And that's what they want thrown out. See, their fraud scheme. Can you enter stalking tapes by a rapist? No. Drug confessions from a rapist? No. Can you enter mean games to pretend? Of course, it never happened. Of course, it wasn't true. We made it up. They were games of pretend. No. Or drugs and told to say horrible stuff? No. Go to jail for drugging that person up. See, people haven't looked at this as a rational mind. And see, they even said, lady investigator said, how dumb are these people? They said they had some guy go in and drug her up and tell her to say that, and they'd have somebody verify it. You can't just verify you were part of having somebody drugged, beaten, and raped. How dumb are they? And then you look it up, there was no crime. You actually have to have proof that crime happened. You can't just roofie someone. See, that's where that girl who claims she's Agent John's girlfriend said, how dumb are these people? She said the same thing. You can't just make up mean jokes behind somebody's back and nobody got hurt. And you can't just roofie somebody and tell somebody to say something horrible. And then there's no proof. You can't just have somebody who verify it. You have to have actual proof of these things. See, it's just all a scam. Like they called it up in Walmart on the strip. The whole thing's a bitch move. The whole thing really is a bitch move. Stocking tapes with photoshopping and washing, breaking in and stabbing somebody with a hypnotic drug, and drugging them and telling them to say something horrible, and mean games to pretend laughing at them. The whole thing's a bitch move. It is. Mm-hmm. Now, we're going to talk Officer Mark and John. You know, we all know that July 26, 25, the investigator from 18, where the people in Bob Evans smarted off to me and I went off. I'm tired of the crap. And I go into Walmart 62 with Carl. He walks in. He said, I told that couple never to say a word to her again. I interviewed John years ago. He said nothing bad ever happened to him. And the rest of her boys were speaking highly of her. Well, they said that in 18. And John on Thanksgiving of 18 that no one could ever say anything bad about me. Just be made up because of the divorce. And Melissa would have the kids and the church people make it up. Don't worry about it, Mom. No one could say anything bad about you. And then when she pulled a bitch move with him of sneaking in his house, hiding, waiting for him to come out of the bathroom, lunged at him, screaming, he shoved her, now I got you. And arrested domestic violence. That's not domestic violence. That's breaking and entering. Lost his kids for a year, and a year later, he asked me to be a reliable name on a court record to watch his kids. Pick him up after school. I was working 2 jobs. I didn't get off the first one, let alone the second one, and I couldn't help it. And he's pleading, but these are my kids. I'll lose them forever, Mom. I'm like, John, I'll lose my apartment. My second job only made like $10 an hour. I barely made it. I said, you don't understand. I barely make it now. And I'm so sorry I can't help you. He lost his kids. He moved to Florida years ago. Years ago. Got remarried. Him and his wife started a church and they had a baby. He looks happier than ever. Had to get out of that horrible situation with that Melissa he was married to. And I had more respect for Melissa than she did herself. I thought she was a better person than to try to help Dave with a crack-headed girlfriend trying to steal from the FBI. I told you Strange hated the government. Had his people run a con on them, go in there and act like a bunch of nutbags, trying to scam them out of money. They all should have been arrested the first day by federal law. June 13th, 14th of 25, I was telling Carl about this. Okay. We pull in and people got out and said they had somebody impersonate John. He's been in Florida for years. Then who was that asking everybody to help kill her? My son would never ask anybody to help kill his mom. And he wouldn't be part of having me drugged, beaten, raped by other men for Dave's crack-headed 18-year-old girlfriend, trying to extort money out of the FBI. He wouldn't be part of such shit. Now, Officer Mark, Officer John, do you remember years ago? Maybe 2020, 21. They said in Walmart 62, it should be documented in the case. They had a guy show up. He looked just like John. He was a couple inches taller and he was heavier. He was like more muscular built, and he walked right by me. Bring in the other John so we get away with this. Or something like that. Remember? And he walked right by me, and I turned around and looked at him. They did it in front of you. Remember? In Walmart 62, bring in the other John so we get away with this. And he walked by me, and he's a couple inches taller than John. He's heavier. Remember? It'll be documented. They brought in a substitute John. Remember you guys complaining about they have people impersonating everybody trying to get away with this? You know, down in Carrollton a year ago, where those people threatened that other Michelle, the cartel split. Girls were down there. Don't say a word to her. Did you hear about her ex-daughter-in-law, Melissa? What a loon. She went in it with her cheating ex-husband because her son, John, divorced her. Hired a bunch of drug dealers to drug her up and tell her to say stuff. Stalk her and Photoshop washing in the shower in the other room. And had her beat and raped. All because John divorced her. Who does that to someone's mom because their son divorced them? Did you hear about her crazy ex-daughter-in-law, Melissa? What a loon. Well, we all know Melissa got caught lying, or where two guys said they were going for a drug lord. Melissa was willing to help them get away with it. She was going to have the kids lie in front of you guys, and then you followed her around, and then I guess I was fishing with Dave. You caught her. Then on Thanksgiving of 18, Melissa's kids were caught and taped that they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa and Grandma to get out. And then later on the floor, they were making everything up. And then John totally defended me that he told Melissa I was going to be moving out, going through a divorce, but don't worry about it, Mom. Nobody can say anything bad about you. She'll have her church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. No one could ever say anything bad about you. Says it several times. Totally defends. And then after that, the investigators, why are they having the kids make that shit up? Oh, they're trying to scare her into giving up the house. That's it. Her whole family speaking highly of her. To Melissa, so stupid she made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid she didn't check where you were. Then Officer Mark, where you said Melissa could go to jail for involving herself. I hate to arrest her. Kids are little. We'll write it up that they were just showing off for Dave and his new girlfriend. They wrote up his documented me games of pretend as Massillon police told Mount Carmel, Illinois, June 23rd, 21 to July 4th of 21. They're documented me games of pretend. Where May of 21, the Stark County sheriffs were laughing at Kurt just found out those kids were lying slow. They announced her lying in Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Illinois in 21. October 5th, 21, they were talking about him lying in Huntington Bank in front of a client. He's like, who's that crazy Melissa? They all talk about lying everywhere we go. March 23rd, 23. Agents come in. We told these people stay out of it. She's never hurt anyone. Nobody's ever seen anything. And it's just some lady thought she could make money out of it. It's probably the lady with the Louisville Police Bay 30th, 25 at 1 o'clock in the morning, how she thought she could trick me out of money. That may have been her in the mall saying she's running it. And she's tired of you officers laughing at these people for confessing their crimes and what they've done to me. You know, if she was real law enforcement, she would find it funny because then you don't have to question them. Got them under police surveillance confessing their crimes. You can just arrest them. So she has to be a bad guy, and she thinks she's running it. And then June 7th, 25, they announced they had already went to Dr. Haben, the kid's pediatrician from 1984 to 2002. They had seen him since they were born for 18 years. Seen him for their yearly checkup 2 or 3 times more a year if they had colds, ear infections, bronchitis. 3 or 4 times a year for 18 years, that there was no sign of any abuse, no sign of neglect, and they were very well taken care of. MD, doctor, proof. Nobody was ever abused. And yes, you can tell kids look down, they look away, they're quiet, you can see the hurt on them. They were normal, happy children, and because they had seen him since they were born, they were go in there and they'd laugh and talk his ear off. They're chatterboxes. Look right in the eye, smile, and talk your ear off. They still do. They should have been girls. And like Officer John said, January 12th, 22, stopping men at the door with those kids get tape stating, they made everything up. They're documented me games that were done. Like they said, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Sitting around laughing, making up stuff behind Karen's back when she's risking her life to save other people. But this thing with them throwing the case out, there's nothing I can do. I have wrote the president several times. I have wrote the Department of Justice at OPR. I have wrote the FBI Internal Affairs. I am dumbfounded. I was betrayed from the beginning. Told on for calling the hotline. And that agent telling Apostolic Church of Barberton he knew I was being drugged, being raped, and didn't care because some idiot called me a faker. It was medical malpractice and medication errors almost killed me. And it's 15 years later on a baby lie. It was only made up to cover up his son's adultery. He thought I was following Tim and Katie. It was Linda. And then on a recorded line, how he met with all of them in his office. He knew they were trying to kill me because the strangest lie. And that family even admitted they were all lying to the FBI, conning him. And that agent even saying that he didn't blame him for trying to kill me. Bullies me, screams at me, laughs at me, makes fun of me for some guy named Pete, some kind of crazy, dirty doctor I've never heard of. Almost thought it was that other lady that was using my insurance, ran up my bills in my name, and here, no, it's just a con. All things a con. Made me beg for all of my life, listed me in form with money and immunity, then threatened me, and then left me there and took my money. Well, they got surveillance. I was always told by the police it was an act. It's 7 years later. Now they're going for the case and trying to get those drug dealers released because they broke the law. That agent, it has to be an act. Because if it's not an act, there's a chance serial killers could get out. And it's like, well, dear God, would someone just pay me and stand up for the case? Like the police said, Karen never lied to us once. She called and reported threats and attempts on her life. These people walked in and said they were trying to kill her. They were threatening her. We got everything else under police surveillance, and everything she said happened, and we got it under surveillance. She never lied to us once. And all that may get thrown out. And I fear for the children that will die. And there's nothing I can do. I mean, these people tried to frame John. They've tried to frame Danny and Jen that they were supposed to report the tape of Weird with yourself, and they didn't know about button cameras. They didn't know about a shower scene in the other room. They didn't know people were drugging me for fake confessions. They knew I had bruises, throwing up, and almost passing out in front of people. But like Jen said, we didn't know put it together. Somebody was hurting you, Karen. I thought you were bruising too hard and working too hard, or bruising too easy and working too hard. I never thought of someone hurting you. They weren't part of it, nor will they have anything to do with it. They tried to frame all my children. Josh had nothing to do with it. Danny and Jen had nothing to do with it, and neither did John. It was a con from that church to steal, where they said Anita and Pam in Apostolic Church of Barberton before it started, for Mary's niece Michelle was willing to kill someone just to date Dave and the opportunity. Dave was excited. He never had anybody willing to kill someone just to date him. That poor family that's in debt. That Katie is Mary's daughter. Anita is her sister-in-law. And that Michelle's her niece. And Henry Murphy's her dad. Whatever his real name is. And Tim always dated Katie since 2001. That's where they thought I was following him. It was Linda following her husband. They thought it was me that made up that baby lie. And strange that he hated the government with his son's mistress. And Dave was always pet. Called him my son from the pulpit. Because he kissed his ass. Her cousin Michelle, whatever she is to her, Dave's dating her, and she's messed up in drugs and drug debt, and the government he hated had the drug dealers run a con on me and thought he could walk in there and fool the FBI and extort money out of them. He thought they were dumb as a box of rocks. That's why his people made fun of him June 7th, 23, how they fooled him with their tapes before. Starr County sheriffs have a video of them mocking him in Walmart. Katie's sister Jody in the cartel. For FBI agent John fell for the stunt of tapes before. Oh, come on now, it's only a stunt. This was an attack on the FBI to rob them. He thought he could just go in and steal from them. That they were so stupid they'd fall for his pathetic scam. That's all it was. It was a plan to extort money from the government. That's all it was. You know, once the FBI pays me, the scam is over. For Bill from the Freemasons' big scam. Had some guy go in and drug her up and tell her to say that. Had another guy videotape her in the shower washing herself, Photoshop that in the other room. Ran a scam off of it who could steal her money. May 25th, 25 Hollister. Get the idea. Once they pay me, the scam's over. Stand up for the case. Don't go too far. They're supposed to come back and kill me. Or when they find you alone. That's when they'll take care of you. They have a field picked out south of Ravenna to cut up your face and stab you to death. That's where you'll die. Don't want the last part to come true. Sounds painful, and I put a lot of work in my face. And what is wrong with these field people? What are they, children of the corn? Seriously, got something that horrible? Why would you put it in a field? But once they pay me, the scam is over. Con is over. Because they can't do anything to me. I mean, the whole thing is to get the case thrown out and then the drug dealers released and then to sue the government for fraud. for false arrest under fraud. They already announced it last year. I wish to God somebody just stand up for the case. Like they said, March 17th, 25 in Carrollton. They looked up my case. Her case really was a threat and attempt to lie case. Who would have thought it led into a lot of big drug dealers' arrests? They said it actually did. We're part of the nationwide human trafficking scam where the FBI calls it countrywide. We're part of their mega case. It led into the cartels. They got a lot of them. I'm going to upload this.